Nicola Bulley's body was discovered in the River Wyre 3 weeks after she disappeared. 4 months later, an inquest was opened to establish the cause of her death.
They were thorough. They went through a lot of evidence. They went through much more evidence than most inquests do.
One of the key features was that she was wearing a Fitbit, a fitness watch.
There was data on that watch which helped to identify what happened in those final few moments.
9:18 was the last contact she had with her phone. Then we have 9:33, which is when the phone is recovered.
At 9:22, the Fitbit records a huge spike in Nicola's heart rate, which is commonly associated with cold water shock.
The information showed that her heart rate spiked, and that's the point that they felt that she hit the cold water.
She had very, very little hope of being able to get out of that water. It was so cold. There would have been a kind of a gasp reaction when she went in.
And I've seen that myself in the Thames, where even the best swimmers cannot swim because of that initial shock.
The coroner thinks probably within 30 seconds she would have been unconscious.
The inquest ruled that Nicola's death was an accident, not suicide.
She'd been texting a friend, organising a play date for her children.
She loved her dog Willow. She would not just have left her dog there. There was no alcohol in her blood.
At that point in time, things were good. She was upbeat. There were reasons why the police considered her vulnerable, but the only evidence pointed towards it being an accident.
There was no evidence that the coroner believed fitted a third party, and in fact directly asked the senior investigating officer if there was a third party involved, and they said no.
But how Nicola entered the water remains a mystery.
Did she trip? Did she fall? Did she suffer dizziness? No one was close enough to her at the point at which she went in the river to see or hear it. The coroner was quite clear, we'll never know. And that's desperately sad for the family.
After the brutal criticism of Lancashire police, the College of Policing conducted a review.
We found the police investigation and search to have been well conducted by Lancashire Constabulary.
Ultimately, they were right. They said right at the beginning that they thought that Nicola had gone into the river.
But there are some critical, very, very basic elementary errors.
Their biggest criticism was the release of information that Nicola was struggling with the menopause.
We are in no doubt that releasing this information in the manner the constabulary did was both avoidable and unnecessary.
But they also criticised the involvement of Peter Faulding.
Peter Faulding became a hindrance rather than a help. He told the family that Nicola was not in the water. He also told the family at one point that he had found the body, and that actually turned out to be some branches underwater of a tree.
They concluded that the relationship between the media and the police needs to be rebuilt for something like this not to happen again.
A few weeks later, one of the leading officers in the case, Peter Lawson, passed away of natural causes, aged 50. But disturbing false conspiracy continues to swirl online, suggesting that this sad and unrelated death is somehow linked to Nicola Bulley.
It's almost like the more outlandish, the more ridiculous, the more clicks it seems to get.
Social media, they have to learn from this, but will they? No, because it helps fuel it and keeps the money pouring in.
People's fascination with true crime is unabated. And of course, people's instinct with this particular case was to think there was a criminal act here.
But of course, this was a real person, a real family, going through a very, very difficult time. And ultimately, the ending turned out to be very, very ordinary indeed. It was just a terrible, terrible accident.
She is fun, she is loving, and she is an exceptional mum, and she absolutely, you know, adores our girls.
I have stayed in contact with Paul and the family, and it would be wrong for me to say they're doing okay, because how can you be okay? Family are trying their best in impossible circumstances to live one day at a time. And the kids are surviving in a world without their mum, which must be heartbreakingly difficult to deal with every day.
She is a pillar of strength, you know, to our family, and without her, you know, the hole is, you know, bigger than you could possibly imagine.